Okay, let me see, to begin the demo, and we are on an empty desktop screen. Actually, what I've set up, my workspace, I've used two 42-inch 4K screens, which is great to extend across both screens and split your menus. And on the right screen, I'll use some reference and usually Unity, and on the left screen, I'll have 3D Max in my browser. Okay, so what I'll look at first is the ways in which we will deal with the AutoCAD or architectural files. I mean, this software, just to kind of show you, probably know what this is. This is SketchUp, and there we go. SketchUp is great for white boxing out and conceptualizing in 3D space some of your structures. And here is a model of a residential house that I've been working on, and here you can see where I've set up the elevations, the front and side elevations, and then I've modeled directly from those elevations. I've projected across and cut out and booleaned out some windows and doors. So SketchUp is great, it's fast, it's efficient, and quickly you can experiment with some structures. Here we'll draw, say, rectangle, okay, and then you can say, if you got your measurements for doors, windows, you can push and pull, and like so. Okay, so yeah, SketchUp is great for conceptualizing, but the models are not ideally suitable for polygon modeling inside Max, or definitely not to take into a game engine for VR work, for VR visualizations. So it's really just kind of a testing ground, and then you would take your model here. When it's finished, you would take it in to export it, take it in as an FBX or an OBJ into Max, and then you would rebuild some of the structure with clean polygons using box modeling. Okay, so that's SketchUp. So just say we've come across to Revit, and here we can see different floor plans. So Revit compared to AutoCAD, Revit is great because it's BIM modeling. So where you've got components and libraries, you got drag and drop features. As up here, you can see for door, for walls, and you've got your library of different types of wall, interior, blockwork, external curtains. Go into the architecture tab, you can choose a door, and if you go in on your structure, you see where you can click for a door fixture here on your elevation, and it will update through all the drawings. And later, if you were to move or to remove the door, it would update. So so that's Revit. You can kind of flick through the different elevation plans, and you've got your north, east, south elevations, colored elevations, and you've also got your 3D views. Close-up view. If you click on the orbit icon here, the transform gizmo, you can see a 3D representation, a white box, untextured representation of your model, and you can use the orbit tool, pan, zoom. You can use the walk tool also to walk through your model and check the proportions and scale. Okay, so that's Revit. So then from Revit, I would export the file as an FBX or a DWG or an OBJ. And next, from Revit, I would take the files across to 3ds Max. And okay, so inside 3ds Max, then I would set up the VRAY lighting. Here I've set up my render, I think is set to VRAY. Okay, yeah, it's set to VRAY. Otherwise, I mean, when I'm white boxing or starting to model out, I will use scanline render, and I will usually use performance or DXF mode. Just go in here, turn off the save frames. Same here, turn off the save frames. Okay. And DXF mode, wireframe override. Okay. P, shortcut P for perspective for your viewport. Okay, so this is an internal scene for a cinema fit out. You got some furniture here, you got the structured curtain walls, and here you've got all the VRAY lighting. So this model came across from Revit and taken into Max, and UV maps would be applied to different parts. Edit mesh, smooth modifiers. The furniture is downloaded externally or taken from, say, sites purchased from Evermotion, and taken into the scene. And here you can see you can actually see how many VRAY lights are in the scene. Render set to VRAY, and then you would click, just say quick renderer. Oh, okay. Alright, it's okay. Alright, too much software open. That's the reason that one crashed. Okay, so that's Max. So once the model is rendered in VRAY, you can open up Photoshop. Photoshop is great for textures. So setting up all your textures, and to find your textures, I mean, you can just Google, say, concrete, but look for a concrete seamless texture map, and go into tools there and choose large. Okay, so you're guaranteed these are seamless textures. Otherwise, you can go and subscribe to textures.com, and in here you can find a lot of PBR materials, and here you've got concrete ornaments, you've got a selection of many different diffuse maps, normal maps, opacity, specular maps. In here you got 3D scans also. You've got PBR materials. A lot of these materials are produced from photogrammetry, or they're taken also from Substance Designer, a Substance Painter. Okay, so with your textures taken in, just open up another file here, and okay, so that's from 3D Max. Okay, and there is a scene inside 3D Max. Let me see, will it render in VRAY this time? Okay, I think we're fine. Okay, so as you know, the VRAY render, it takes time to render, but with VRAY, it is an intensive process on your CPU, and also it's not interactive, so you cannot take it into a game engine. You can't teleport around and walk around in VR. So VRAY and Max pipeline is mostly just for still illustrations or an animated MP4 of your scene. Okay, so that's VRAY calculating its render space. We'll just cancel that. So that's Max using VRAY, and then I would take the model. I'll close this down. Okay, and what I would do is, this scene has a lot of heavy information because it came from AutoCAD or Revit. So I will open up the layers, and I will check the I will turn off layers that are not needed for VR, a VR walkthrough. What I'll do is optimize the models also. So just say if we, okay, let's Control W to open up that window, and say we choose this straw umbrella, and we go in here, we go into viewport global settings, and we'll check the poly counts. Go into statistics, go into total selection, and here you can see, wow, it's quite a big scene. You've got 3 million polygons, and if you click this button here, it's to isolate, P for perspective, Z for zoom in. Okay, and what you've got here is, and I'll just turn off wireframe. Okay, so what we got here is the straw umbrella. This alone is 115,000 polygons, which is way too high for a game engine and for VR walkthrough. So what you can do is I've set up a shortcut using customize user interface. If you go in here and you can set up keyboard shortcut, and you've got, let me see where we got keyboard shortcuts, and I have set a shortcut for this modifier down here, which is Pro Optimize. Okay, Pro Optimizer. So I've set a shortcut. Okay, that's 1 second now. The Pro Optimizer, I thought I had the shortcut set up already for this one anyway, but yeah, it's Pro Optimizer. So what you got to do is click calculate. We'll calculate the poly count, and now you've got 100%. So if you step it down to 10%, okay, that's too much. If you set it to say 20%, now your poly count is 36,000, down from 110,000. And convert back to polygon like so, and then you can apply, say, a quick fix. Instead of UV unwrapping, you could apply a UV map, procedural UV map, cylindrical, because we'll just be applying the one straw material on here. Okay, and then undo isolation, and there you go. Okay, so that's one model optimized, and I will optimize the buildings. I will check, because we got 3 million polygons here, and really you want to be below 1 million polygons for a full scene, for a Unity VR scene. So again, choosing each different component and isolating. This is only 180 polygons. It's fine. I mean, you can look at the chairs also. So it's okay. Just say okay. Now we can isolate those 4 chairs. There's no point bringing those 4 chairs into a scene, into Unity. So let me see, are they okay? They're one full attached mesh. So you got to go into elements, choose the other chairs, and delete. Okay, so you're left with one mesh. I prefer to work in a editable poly, sorry, not mesh, so convert it to an editable poly, and there you go. Okay, the poly count is 4,100. You can go back in here, you can reduce, again, set up your shortcuts, but calculate, say set it to 20%. That's too much. You can see that it has caused some breakup of polygons, so we could say set at 60%. It's not too bad. You can reduce the polygon count. Okay, so that's your scene. Once everything is optimized and the entire scene has gone from, say, 2.8 million down to, say, 500,000 polygons for the entire scene, make sure all your assets are UV unwrapped. Like, just say this scene here, I will separate this building, click on the building, click detach, break up your mesh, building 1. Okay, so now we got building 1, and I have shortcuts here. I have U, which is for UV map. Otherwise, if you haven't done this before, you got to go into UV map. Sorry, that's the wrong one. And you got to go into UV map and say set a box here. So that's UV mapped, and it will light map easier inside of Unity. Okay, so then you can just click M for your materials, and you can have your material here, color or a bitmap. Okay, so that's your max scene, making sure everything's optimized. Remember, select elements, you can choose separate buildings, go down to detach it, and then set up your UV unwrapping. Okay, so once the scene has been unwrapped, all the textures are brought in. And let me see, I'm just going to check this texture here. For example, grass. You click on M and that's your bitmap. So you can choose a different bitmap here and it will update in the browser like so. Okay, so that's from 3ds Max, and again there you've got that's Revit sample files you can play around with. You can download and bring into Revit, and then bring it into Max. Let me see. Next we'll open up Unity. So Unity is the game engine used for PlayStation, Xbox and mobile gaming. This is their website. You get a free version and then there's a pro version. Okay, PBR materials, yeah, textures.com, you got your textures. Okay, so what we got here now is I have some sample files open here for what I created inside of Unity. This is a sample interior scene, another exterior restaurant scene. This is an interior restaurant scene, and all of these have been taken from Revit or from AutoCAD into Max and into Unity. And again, an office scene, and you've got a residential scene, and you've got our hotel lobby, or I think it was a cinema lobby. Just have a look at this one for a second. That means that's the from afar, that's the 3D model. And I've come in here and I've put in some lights and I've put in a few textures already. So let me click on that piece of furniture, hit F to zoom in, and you can rotate around your scene. Now this scene has been optimized and is VR ready. So all I've got to do is download Steam and drop in my nav mesh and my Steam controllers, so I can just click play and move around. That's the game screen. That's the scene edit mode screen. So the VRAY lights have been replaced by the spotlights inside of Unity, and this is important. When you set up your scene, just it will open up a new window for Unity. Now usually I wouldn't have so many windows, so many projects open in Unity. This is just for the demo purposes. Like here, I rebuilt all the Quinta assets. I rebuilt all the textures. So here, texture, and then all these textures have been imported into Unity. So you've got your spotlights, you've got your asset, the main asset model FBX import is here. That's a model of a cafe. Okay, so again, it's an empty, just all you got is your skybox, one FBX, and inside then you've got your PBR materials. Also the wall here, you've got an albedo and you've got normal maps. You can put in height maps, occlusion maps also. So when you choose a new scene, have we a new window open yet? Not yet. I think it's opening in the background. This is important for the post-process volume. This is invaluable. As you can see, that's without, that's with. In the last couple of versions of Unity, you got color grading, you got bloom, vignettes, ambient occlusion, dark in the shadows. So you can go in and just customize all these settings to suit your own needs. Okay, so that's and also download Cinema Machine. If you go into Window, if you go into Package Manager, this window will populate with all the packages that come for free with Unity. So Cinema Machine is for setting up animated cameras from point A to point B to point Z along a timeline. So with this scene, once I've brought it in, once I've set up the textures, once I've set up the lighting, I've set up the post-process volume. I'm hoping to do another tutorial after this, just focusing on this one scene, to bring it in from as a white box untextured asset, one FBX, and then to apply all the textures, to create new materials, to put in the lighting, and set up the post-process volume, set up the cinema machine cameras, and then you can render the movie to file as an MP4, as an architectural visualization, or you can build. You can go in and you can build and run for VR. A few important things inside Unity project settings. You got to go in and set your project to ultra high setting, and let me expand this window. So that's an important setting. Your lights, if you've got 10 lights in the scene, spotlights or such, you can see the difference, see in the background if you adjust this. Okay, so say we'll set it for 12 lights in our scene. Sampling, you want the highest possible sampling. 8 sampling. Full res quality, textures are good, shadows are good. Okay, so that's project quality settings, and that's good enough to set the settings you need to set for if you're rendering to file as an MP4 movie, or if you're going to build a VR scene. Okay, and so that's it. You'll have your materials folder, import your materials, your FBXs. In here I've got okay, and you've got your sound files, so you can bring in, you can set triggers to play ambient music in the background, and such. Okay, it's the same here. Shift and spacebar. Click on the scene, shift and spacebar, and then it'll give you full screen. And again, you can orbit around inside. I have set a sunset skybox here. These are free in the asset store. You can set daytime, nighttime, and if we zoom out, you can just see it's very, very basic. That's really 1 or 2 FBXs. I've brought in this unit here. Click on the chair, go down to the bottom, and let me see, where are we at? Okay, so it's let me see what this, yeah, it's Japanese set. So basically, when it came across from Max, I just exported the FBX separately, the chair, table, all utensils on top, and then only when you bring it into Unity, you can Control D, and then you can instance and populate your scene with your furniture. Never bring all the furniture in from the Max scene. That's just for your VR render, but just you have to duplicate and create instances, so it will be a less of a draw count when you render or when you're playing real time in a game or in VR. Okay, so that's another scene. This scene here. Okay. Lights, luminosity. Again, I'll set up a tutorial just to show how to set up a scene from beginning to end. Simple single FBX and a wraparound background texture on a cylinder, and all the furniture and textures have been prepped already in Max. So when you import the FBX, let me see the assets. Okay, that's our FBX. Some things you got to do, you got to click when you import your FBX. You got to click here, generate light map UVs. 1, 2. You got to set your rig to legacy. I won't do it now, it'll just take 5 minutes to process. And once that's set to legacy, hit apply, and then you can turn off animation, go into materials, choose legacy, and then choose from models name and click apply. And what will that will do is import all your textures in the right place into your FBX. That's an important procedure. Anything to learn in here? Let me see. It's pretty basic scene. That's our summer house. How's our game view? Okay. Again, you can set like you can set a view here. Say if you want game object, set up another camera. Hold down Shift and Control F, and that will dedicate the camera view. It will set the camera view to that angle. Okay, scene 1, scene 2. So camera 1, make sure camera 1 is on display 1 down here, and say the camera, set this on display 2. So if you go back into game, now you've got display 1 and you got display 2, and you can render out those still images as a JPEG or a target file from inside Unity at high resolution. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll set up my scene, I'll render as an MP4 movie with Cinema Machine cameras. Sometimes I'll use Octane up here, sometimes I'll just use a script, and then also I'll set up all my cameras, so display 1 camera 1, display 2 camera 2, and just render all those different, maybe 12, half a dozen, 2 dozen different angles and perspective. So basically that's it. In the scene you can see there's a character here. Hit F on your keyboard and you can zoom in and you can see there's a guy here. These characters, if you go up to my browser, what you can do is you can go to, this is a great site, this one, renderpeople.com, and you got free models. You go in here, you can check there's some static and some animated models. This is the guy I chose, so I'll download this guy as an OBJ. Another great site is to use Mixamo. So if you go into Mixamo, you can upload a character. This is the character I upload as a OBJ, and you can set different animations. You can click download, and you can download with skin or without skin, and then it'll download as an FBX with the full animations. Very useful. I'll upload a separate character. So this is a character I set up in ZBrush, just a test character. We'll go in here and we'll check it. Let me see there. Okay, Z-Sphere character test. All right. So this is just a character I created. You can create in Max or ZBrush or Maya, and it's just it's an OBJ character, polygon character. That's it, with a T-pose or an A-pose, as we call it. That's important. Legs spread apart, fingers spread apart, like so. And click next. Now you got to just map the skeleton. For skinning, wrists, you got to set the elbows. You got to set the knees. You got to set the groin. And this guy I sculpted from Z-Spheres in over 60 minutes in ZBrush. I'll set up a tutorial showing how that was done, but he was sculpted using Dynamesh in ZBrush, then Z-remeshed, decimated, and retopologized for a clean topology. And here you see, okay. So he was completely just an OBJ taken from ZBrush, brought inside, skinned in Mixamo, and then you've got a different selection of animations from idle, boxing, running, and the character works. That's great. A fun one to test your skinning and deformations. Samba dancing. Here you'll spot any little mistakes in your modeling. Great. Okay, so again, I can just download this guy now as an FBX and bring him straight into Unity, and he will dance in my scene. So that's it. That's one way to create characters. Okay, is to create yourself in 3D software, download and bring into Mixamo, or also there is this software here called Fuse, where you can this is by Adobe Creative Suite. It's free at the moment. Once you have a subscription to other Adobe software, but you can go in and you can just build out your 3D model human. You can attach the limbs, you can create clothing. I'm not going to do it now in this process here. You can see here I've put male legs and a female torso, but yeah, you know what I mean. Customize clothing, and afterwards when you finish your model, you can export as an OBJ, export with textures, and then you can bring also this model from Fuse into Miximo, set up your rig and your skinning, and then you have a character that you can bring in as an FBX into Unity also. So it's quite easy bringing animated characters into Unity, and that's Unity. In the second part of this tutorial, I'm going to bring some of these FBX architectural files into Unreal Engine. It's a little different process. I'm going to set it up for VR. So what you've seen here is all Unity, and scenes, we got assets, models, yeah, okay, and materials. That's all the materials. Okay, so basically that's it. Anything else to show here? That was Intel, the PBR materials, characters, Adobe. Down here somewhere, Fuse. That's the free version of Fuse. That's my Behance account. Some of my stuff up there. Some of my VRAY, early VRAY architectural illustrations. Of course, I got some background music. Assassin's Creed, nothing like it. Okay, I'm on 30 minutes. So that's it. Taking files. You can have them hand drawn in Photoshop. Or actually one more thing I want to show. Unity Hub, download it, install it, and it's great for setting up new projects and using different versions of Unity. When you choose a template, choose 3D with extras, because this template has the post-processing where you can adjust bloom and ambient occlusion in your scene. Okay, and name your project whatever it's going to be, new scene. I'll just show you very basically setting up a new scene. Again, I wouldn't have so much software or screens open, but it's just for demo purposes. We can close this one down, discard, that's Fuse. What we got here, we close that down. Okay, so you've got a brand new scene. First of all, choose example assets, turn it off. Right click, create new folder, and we'll name this one Models FBX. This is the folder where you will import your models. Click on your folder, right click, import new asset, and go to your folder where you've got your FBX collection. Let me see, male standing pose. Okay, we'll bring in our guy. This is our guy. Click F on the keyboard. That's your processing gizmo. Go up to gizmos. If you don't want that in the way, you can just knock it down. Okay, so this is our guy. Click on your FBX. Click on model. I won't do this now, but generate UV maps. Rig has got to be legacy. Okay, it's a small polygon count model, so it doesn't take too long. Use external materials legacy, models from material, and apply. And what that's going to do is going to pull in all the small texture assets. Now what's has created here in the left corner is create a folder, and in that folder you've got the we'll have a look at this. There you got the texture for the, and he's textured. That's it. Okay, so you've got your guy. Here, click on light, rotation, and here game object, just put in a plane just so we can have a look at our shadows. Cube, or scale as such. You can see the shadow of our guy better. Also I forgot to mention, when you drop in your FBX, click up here and just zero out the origin. Okay, so now he's set at 0, 0, 0 in the XYZ. Again, The same with the cube. Just have everything 0 to its origin, everything relative. 0, 0, 0 is important. Okay, and this has a box collider attached. That's good. You go up to direct lighting, and you can increase the intensity, and you can change the angle, like so. Anything else I need to show? Okay, so if this is the camera angle we want, hold down Shift, Control and F. That captures that angle. If you go back into game view, you've got that angle captured. So that's the beginning. Process volume, I just leave it at default, but this one you'll definitely have to change is bloom. As you see, if you step up the intensity or step it down, turn off vignettes, motion blur you don't need, depth of field you don't need, ambient occlusion. Okay, so that's a simple scene just with your camera, your light, your color grading, scene view, game view. Again, go into package manager and download Cinema Machine, and go into the asset store if you want to render an MP4 and download up here, download Octane Render. It's a plugin for the latest versions of Unity. Anything else to show? Materials. Okay, so basically that's how you bring in your assets. Right click to create folder. Okay, to create material, you can create a brand new material here and name it whatever, and in here you can then select your albedo. Here right click and create a cube, drag and drop it on. That's it. If you want to click on your shader, if you want to add a normal map, you can add this normal map here, and you can step it up so you can see the normal map has been applied. It's indented the surface. You can also set it up on the secondary maps below. Okay, well, I'm on 37 minutes. Okay, so that's basically my pipeline for setting up an architectural visualization from CAD, from Revit to Photoshop, 3D Max, VRAY, into Unity, and then for VR or MP4. Thank you very much for watching, and any questions, ask. I'm hoping to follow up with a few tutorials detailing the process in each different software. Okay, this is Enda here in Galway. It's a lovely sunny day. Yesterday was raining, so I'm going to head out on the bike and hit the ocean and go for a swim. Okay, thanks, and take care of yourselves.